Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to part two of cyber attack, which sounds pretty scary, Francis. And I think I left the last webinar that you did previously with us a little bit. It's almost like when you used to watch Doctor Who as a kid, and you sit behind the sofa and you want to have a people up every now and then. But you shared some really powerful insights, I think, that anyone working in a recruitment company can take away. And there's no doubt there is a serious risk for people who don't take heed of your advice, I would recommend. So to set the scene in case you've just joined this webinar and missed the first one, I've known Francis for years. He's one of the most knowledgeable people in this space, operates extensively within the world of recruitment. And if you want a little accolade, I use Francis within my own business too. So I'm delighted to have you here, Francis, and look forward to more insight today.
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm glad I didn't scare you so much that you didn't want to do another session. But in the last 2 weeks alone, I've had several people again on the phone, just expressing their concerns, and especially the one lady, recruitment owner. I mean, she was sobbing. She was in tears because she was hacked a couple of weeks ago, and not only has she lost clients, but now the ICO is involved. So many excuse me, so many people involved now, and this, in my head, this could have all been avoided if she just spent a little bit extra on her security every month, but she decided not to, and now she's paying the price and at so many different levels. So now when people say to me, what do you do? I don't say we're a cybersecurity specialist. I say I help Westtek help our clients not to suffer from massive severe mental breakdowns or attacks, because when people suffer this, it goes on for a long time. The other question I always ask people is that what is worse, having a burglary at the office or at home, or having a cyber attack? And you can see them thinking away, and eventually they go at the office. I'm like, why? Anyway, so eventually they tell me, and I agree, because if you have a major break-in at your office home, you phone the insurance company and they come in and they give you the money and they replace everything and you move. And there's a bit of discomfort, of course. When you have a cyber attack or massive compromise, your business comes to a standstill. But of course, the effects just keep on rippling for years and years. And subsequently, we actually had one of our clients sell this year for a much higher multiple, because when the new buyer came in and they saw that their systems were so secure in such a good state, they gave him a higher multiple. So you can imagine he's one very happy customer. But of course, the reverse is also true, in the sense that one of the figures I read the other day is that if your business suffers a major compromise, your chances of selling that recruitment business falls by up to 70%. So it's this needs to be taken seriously. So just to recap, before, otherwise, like you can, me, I can talk forever about this stuff. But just to recap, last time when we did our previous session, it was all about what could happen, or what leads to an attack. And today is very much focused on what do we do if we walk in one morning and we've been attacked. So just to quickly recap as to just ways that we can get compromises. For instance, did you know that there's something like 30,400 new Internet of Things being added to the internet? And all those, of course, are security risks. According to Hiscox, now you're 9 times more likely to suffer a cyber attack at the office than a burglary. It takes every 4 seconds, there's a new version of malware and ransomware being released in the world. So, you can see that we're fighting a big battle. And a lot of times when I do my talks, I say, ladies and gentlemen, we have lost the war, because we have. We work very closely with the police, cyber police, both in London and different home counties, and with Barclays Bank, Lloyds Bank, and soon NatWest. And we've all agreed that, listen, we're just playing follow, and we're just playing catch up all the time. And the best thing we can do is to educate and to create awareness. And that's why, thank you, Mike, for the opportunity, because the more we can do this for people, the better. So moving on, so how can I get affected? Malware is still the biggest one. 49% of all attacks coming with a single click. You click on something, It goes onto a computer unknown to you, and it takes out not only your Mac or PC, but potentially the entire network. You know, you can get infected now via even somebody send you a phone message, a single text. I've seen only yesterday again, it's brilliant. I don't know who uses Teams. A lot of our clients now use Teams, where a team message comes in to invite you to join a team group. And if somebody is mad enough to click on that link, unbeknown to the user, that attack would go onto the computer and start monitoring, for instance, every single keystroke that user does from that moment forward. So they might not take your computer system down, but of course they can take all the information that's sitting not only on your computer, but all the other systems, you know, within your network. So there's a great video that I found the other day. You know, today's all about what do you do if you get attacked, but I thought I'll share this video because this just shows us in a very simple way how easy people give their information away, and then they wonder why they're getting hacked. So have a look at this video. It's only a minute or two long. I love it.
Oh, hi, can I help?
Hot chocolate.
What's the name?
Joelle.
What was the name?
Alex.
Alex. There you go, Johnny.
Cheers.
If you like our Facebook page, we give you a free hot drink and a free pastry.
We have a new like for Damien. We have a new like for Damien.
Hey, Carly, are you standing by?
Standing by. Hi there, can I help?
Yeah, I just liked your Facebook page.
Okay, I'll search Facebook now.
I'm searching Google.
Have a phone number.
I've got his email address.
Okay, Carly, are you ready for information on Damien?
Yep, I am.
Mother's maiden name is he banks with
Carly, this is the girl coming in now with the blue scarf.
What's the name? Nicholas.
Nicola. His date of birth, 7th of May. She lives at 38A.
Just be a couple of seconds.
2 children, age 4 and 6. Previous address. She's got photos.
Yep, got it. Damien, age 26 and a fitness instructor.
How do you know that?
Where did you go to UCL? Martin went to South Thames College. Assistant psychologist at Great Ormond Street. How did you know?
That is... I don't really understand.
Oh, better?
You know I'm a Christian as well.
Oh, yeah, we know everything about you, Martin. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Anna from Russia.
Now, Mike, you can't make this up, right? But what do you think that lady did with that coffee cup at the end of that video?
Threw it in the bin.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. So people wonder why they're getting hacked, right? But it's because you give all the information about you to every hacker on the planet. So don't get surprised if people then all of a sudden can steal your data in the time it takes to make a coffee. So moving on, now that I've scared you a little bit, you know, I don't know if anybody's ever seen this screen, but this is a very common ransomware screen. And God help you, and I hope you never do. You walk in one morning or at home or at the office, and every single screen has got this message displayed on your computer or Mac screens. Basically what it's saying there is that we've hacked your computer, we've encrypted all your files, and you've got to pay us a few Bitcoin to unlock your entire network. And this has happened. We got a new client a couple of years ago, and we not just do recruitment, we do other sectors as well. It's a accounting firm, and they walked in on a Monday morning, and of course this was on the 28th of January, their busiest times, because remember, the hackers would go after you and they'll watch you and they'll take you out when you are at your weakest or when you least want that attack. And anyway, it took them 7 days to clean all the machine off from this message. You know, they had to basically wipe and reload everything. And you can't make this up. 3 weeks later, they got done again. Why? But this time only for 2 days. So they're lucky. So they managed to get it down from 7 to 2 days. But we found out in the end that the reason why they got hacked was that they had an old legacy system sitting on their network that was never, ever updated. And this happens, and we see this a lot with CCTV camera systems or even old phone systems that are never, ever updated or patched or security updated, and then they get hacked. So this is not a flippant statement, but it's not a question of you know, when it's going to happen. It's just how you protect yourself, and that's the main thing. So what can you do? I mean, there are so many things you can do, but the first thing that you need to do is you need to invoke what I call your CAP, your cyber attack plan. And again, you won't believe it, when I do my talks around the country, and I've done quite a few now, thousands of people I've spoken to, and I say, please put your hand up if you've got a cyber attack plan. And you will see that look I get on people's faces. Because for every 100 people that I speak to, maybe one person will put their hand up and say, yeah, we've got a cyber attack plan. And then my next question to them is, okay, tell me, where is this plan? And eventually they'll say, it's in my computer, or it's at my home office. I said, really? So how are you going to get that now to invoke this plan that you have? So the first thing, I don't want to go into solutions because, you know, that's what we're doing in the third session, but you know, you need to have something that you can then work through. But the next thing you need to do, and I've seen this, when you get a massive attack, a cyber attack, it's like fire, and you'll start seeing your files being encrypted in front of your eyes, which you then can't encrypt unless you've got an encryption key. But you need to, like with a fire, you've got to close the rooms. In the same way with a cyber attack, you need to kill the network, or at least the power. So unplug the internet. You know, you've got to kill the network switch. You've got to shut down all the computers. And then, of course, you need to phone your IT company. And even better, you know, you need to phone your cyber insurance company. Now, so many companies, again, that I speak to, they do not have cyber insurance. And only 11% now of small to medium-sized businesses in the UK have cyber insurance. And I can't tell you how invaluable that service will get or will become the moment you have an attack, because they won't only just deal with, you know, putting you back, but they'll deal with the fallout, maybe months and months from now, dealing with customers and dealing with your online reputation. Whatever you do, please do not pay. The only way you can recover from this is you have to restore from your backups. Now, here's the problem with the backups. How do you know your backups are ransom free? Because a lot of backup systems out there, you know, the cheaper solutions do not check the data before it backs up. And when I say data, this also applies for your online data. The fact that Microsoft, your Office 365 data is sitting in the cloud with them, it doesn't mean that you don't have emails sitting in your deleted items or your sent items that are not potentially linked to a website that can bring the whole system down. So you need to have good security solutions or backup solutions that check your data before it makes the backup. Now, the other thing you can do, which we use that we've used in the past, is a brilliant website called nomoreransom.org. Now, the head of Intel Corporation, as in, you know, the people that make chips, and also the head of cyber security in the UK and some other organization around the world, have put together a website. I'll show you what it looks like. This is a brilliant website. Go onto this website and you'll see, you know, for instance, the prevention advice de-encryption tool. So if you don't have somebody like us that can come in and help you, you can actually go onto this website. And if you're lucky, you'll find the unencryption key. Remember I showed you this encryption page? On here, if you open up the file, they'll leave a lovely little message for you and say, listen, you can pay us 1 Bitcoin or whatever the case is. Otherwise, we're not going to send you this private key. Now, you can download the private key for free from No More Ransom. That's if it's not a new one. So you can imagine the hack is done like this at all. The other thing you've got to do straight away is you've got to report this as a crime. So again, if you go onto this website, it can take you through step by step as to what you've got to do to report this crime. And of course, worst case scenario, or probably every case, you need to report it to the ICO. Now, the other thing that if I was you to have in your cyber attack plan is to write down this website. That's so important, https://report.ncsc.gov.uk/, because on that site, and please, if you're listening to this webinar, go onto that website right now and go through step by step and get yourself a plan and print out what you need to do, because remember what I said, this is not a question of if, this is a question of when. In my head, there's only 3 types of people on this planet. Either the people that has already been hacked, the ones who are going to be hacked, and the ones that have been hacked but don't even know they've been hacked. So please go onto this website and get yourself prepared. Now, the other area that I want to show you just as well is I might even see my 10-year-old. He loves this website. If you go to www.showdone.io, you will not believe how many CCTV systems, industrial control systems, firewalls around the world are listed for free on this website. So in other words, what this website does, legally, one could argue, is it goes around the planet and looks for all these Internet of Things or devices that are not properly protected, and then lists it on there, for any other hacker or 10-year-old to have a look at it, and then log on to your CCTV camera or your baby alarm at home to have a look. The other great website is Have I Been Pawned? Can I recommend it highly enough? So go onto that website, have a look at your existing email addresses, get all your staff to put in their email addresses on there, and you'll find when they've been compromised, how often and by whom. And why is it important? Well, surely if there's a problem with your body and you've maybe got a heart murmur or maybe you've got something really bad, you want to know. And the same logic applies to your technology. So with your email addresses, remember 91% of all attacks coming by email. On that website, you will see that whether you've been compromised or not. And surely once you know this, you need to put in better systems in place and increase your security to avoid this from happening in the future. The other one of my favorite sites are howsecureismypassword.net, because on this site you can put an existing password that you're using, and it will show you how quickly it'll take to crack your password. And hopefully, if it says a couple hours, you now know that this is one way they're going to get into my systems. So that's just a few key sites that I wanted to make you aware of, and hopefully to prevent it. So yeah, I'm coming to the end here because this is obviously a very serious subject, and my $1 million question I ask so many people that I meet or even home people working from home. I say that, how much money do you have to lose before you start taking this seriously? Is it 1,000, 10,000? 100,000, $1 million? That figure might be different for everybody, but please believe me that prevention is so much better than cure. We launched a security service called securityeverywhere.co.uk quite a few months ago. That for as little as 50p a day, we will keep the hackers at bay for you. So we can start with 1 user or 1,000 users, doesn't matter, but please do something. My biggest yeah.
So, sorry, just to interject, please. We've got a couple of questions coming in, if that's okay, Francis. But I was basically saying wow, because every time I listen to the things you're saying, it kind of makes me think more, really. But the first question is from Gary. Gary is asking about your observation from earlier about the multiple of the recruitment company being positively affected.
Yeah.
Do you have more detail on that? In what way did it happen?
You mean the 70% or the one actually that it was increased?
Increased, yeah.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to share, I'll be truthful, he didn't want to share to me exactly the multiple, but I'm sure it was 1+.
Okay. And is that because they had
the numbers.
Cyber, they could show their cyber policy to the acquirer, is that correct?
Yeah, they could, because they could see that on their systems they had multiple layers of security, not just antivirus, which is like in my head, antivirus nowadays is like having a latch on your shed. It gives you about the same protection. And they could see that we had both, local security up to 6 layers, and even on the servers, and also his cloud security. There were multiple layers. And then they also looked at their disaster recovery plans and their cyber attack plans, and all that was in place. And they had cyber insurance, and that was in place. And then, of course, they looked at, for instance, their firewalls to make sure that was fully up to date and backed up. They looked at all their, their patch management. So in other words, when we patch our clients now, we patch them real time. So for instance, not only Microsoft patches, but all the non-Microsoft products are all patched real time. So because of all these factors, they just said, well, we can't argue with you, because most people that buy systems or companies are using technology and security as a way to bring the multiples down.
Yeah. Okay. They'll chip away, won't they?
Yeah.
So even if the common thing at the point of sale is the price is agreed, and then they begin to chip.
Exactly.
And so if the price is 5 million, and then they find out you don't have a proper cyber cover, it may be they're chipping 100 grand off the price, or 200 grand, or a sum of money anyway. So either way.
Yeah,
okay,
and the rest. And the other thing they do now as well, which we started doing for clients, we do a lot of dark web scan audits, and it's cheapest chips to do, and we can do dark web monitoring now. But again, what companies doing now? I'm working with a new firm in London, a law firm, and they asked me to do dark web audit reports on these businesses that they're looking to do M&As with, because they could see very quickly if you've got loads of email addresses and passwords listed on the dark web, then your security has been very poor in the past. So therefore, that points fingers to the rest of the network. Whereas if there's only 1 or 2 email addresses found on the dark web, then instantly it says a lot about your internal and external security.
Yeah, I've got another question coming in from Maria. She's saying, how do you access the dark web?
Now that's a really, really good question. I mean, I could send you a video on that. I mean, it's actually easier than you think. If you go onto Google, sorry, not onto Google, go onto YouTube, and you just type that question in, because there's many different ways. I'm not avoiding the question. I'm just telling you there are many different ways. So what you do is, how do I access dark web? You do it with different tools. Imagine like you would use Google Chrome to find information. There are different types of browsers that goes into the dark web. When it comes to our security reports, when we do our dark web, we actually use an agency. So we don't go in ourselves. We use an agency to go and get the information, and they've got a lot of spiders that crawls the webs and get all the information and then brings it back to us.
Okay, interesting. Maria's followed that question up with which insurance company do you recommend for cyber cover?
There are so many, but again, if she wouldn't mind, just give me her email address. I can do some personal recommendations for her.
Okay.
Especially people within the recruitment sector. I was with one only yesterday with Stackhouse Portal, guy Alex Dean. He really knows his stuff, so I can do a warm introduction.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, I use Hiscox, the one you mentioned earlier, and I found them to be good.
They're very good. I love their ads. I think the ads are the best. They really get the point across. And I've got some brilliant videos online of how like an attack looks like from Hiscox, but like so that the layman can understand.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we can share those if you want. But yeah, Hiscox is also very, very good. But I think the main thing is, and again, the good insurance or cyber insurance companies will flag this up. You need to insure not only against the theft element, but also the crime element of the attack or the compromise. So there's 2 areas. And then you also need to look at areas such as, are they going to pay you? For instance, let's say you lose now a few clients because of your one of my slides I've got up there now. Let's say you lost 20, 30, 40 clients, but you might not lose them now. And if you do, how long will it take you to get them back? So let's say it takes you on average 11 months to get a new customer. Then a good insurance company will actually insure you up to 11 months forward. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So you want to really delve into the level of cover and the extent to which it covers you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Hiscox is, they're one of the best ones. But, go with a broker. That's why I recommend, going with a company that can give you, they monitor the market all the time. And I'll tell you what, the other thing, Mike, at the moment, the prices are going up and up because, so I spoke to another broker the other day, another guy that specializes in recruitment. And he said to me, in the last 60 days, you will not believe how many times they've had to pay out businesses whose accounts department paid the wrong people. So it's so easy for a hacker to get into your system if you're not using multi-factor authentication, change the payment details. You send out all your statements and invoices only to find out after the event that a customer's paid the wrong details, which is it could be your fault, but maybe not. But at least if you're insured, you can get that money back. Otherwise, you've lost that money forever. But he said the last 60 days, the claims have gone through the roof, which means the prices are going up for cyber insurance. So please get it.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much for the insight today. Some great thoughts there to make people do things. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because we all don't expect to get burgled, and we all cross our fingers and hope we're not going to get a cyber attack. But it sounds like there are some pretty simple things that can be done and reasonably low costs from what you said, the 50p a day thing. I'm sure people listening to this would be interested in that, because that's the cost of a coffee, isn't it?
Well, I agree. You know, this is it. If you just put a little bit extra money on your security budget, you can save a fortune in future. And never mind the cost; it's the heartache, you know, and the pain, and having to deal with the ICO and having to phone, or losing customers that you spend years and years getting, and they'll leave you like this because when they find out that you've been compromised.
Right. Well, that's a fine imparting shot there to leave us all behind the sofa once more, Francis. Thanks again for your insight today. Really enjoyed that, and look forward to joining you on the next webinar.
So just to recap on that, Mike. So the next webinar is all going to be, this is the third in the final set of 3, that is all going to be about what are the even simple things you can do to reduce your risk at home and also at business, because the two are so interlinked. So please come and have a listen to that, and we're going to share with you loads of stuff that you can do, and some of them are like either cost nothing or inexpensive, or just training, simple things that can be life-changing for your business.
Excellent. Thanks once again. Thanks everybody for joining us. Goodbye now.
Thank you. Bye.